Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about some of the best ways to practice on Apex Legends. This is really going to help highlight also the new Olympus preview mode, as it gives you the safest and best way to play the game without worrying about gunfights. The only issue is that it only has a few more days left remaining on it. Also, the fact you have to wait for a few people to queue into it before it even pops. On the plus side, I'm going to keep some of these tips and tricks at very high level and really high concept, so you can really work on this outside of just the preview mode. Obviously, the first one is the most obvious, which is your best loot path. Number 2, understanding your abilities and how to practice them. Positioning and rotations. And finally, practicing your movement. I want this video to help broaden your mindset and how you practice. So while this may seem a very high level, as long as you step away from this video and say, oh, I didn't think about that, then this video is going to be extremely helpful. So concept 1. We discussed this in our looting tips, practicing where you drop and knowing where the loot is. This is going to be monumental. Obviously, they can save you an immense amount of time, from 100 hours to 1,000 hours, but sometimes just taking the loss and maybe losing around and just simply practicing a looting path or rotation and figuring out where stuff is can save you an immense amount of time instead of just going in and beating your head against the wall. I'm just going to give you an example. I'm going to switch to my gameplay in a hot minute. We can just drop on Oasis. You know the gold items are below or after you hit the door and what the loot pattern looks like. Note that this place is more obvious and easier to loot than others. So make sure you take the time and understand where loot is, because it's going to be your biggest asset to help you winning a gunfight. Alright, so let's switch to the gameplay real quick. Okay, in this example, I did load up into a live round, but it's really easy to do this in Olympus preview. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly over to this location. I'm going to show you a fast way to loot. But essentially, this is what you want to do every time you drop and be more effective off the rip to get the right items you need to fight. So there's a potential here that I'm going to fall short because it is a very far drop. So here's a great example. We go right into the building. You'll see that there's loot. There's purple armor on the left because I'm a Loba, which is good to kind of check that out. Immediately what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down because I know there's armor right here, right? Let's see if I die. So I got my gun. Got my gold item. Usually there's better weapons down here. There's not. Hemlock kind of works. Switch weapons here. You know there's other loot items. And you're ready to fight. This guy's won. Maybe we can no-scope him. Oh, he's laggy. Okay, well, nonetheless, I think this is a great example of how to drop. I fought a PowerPoint presentation, but sometimes it just happens, you know? Self-revive. Self-revive on that guy. And that's how you really drop, because now we have weapons and we're able to get into the engagement right away. And I have another weapon here. I can swap to the Mastiff. I can swap to blue armor right here. Probably go to the white. Put my Loba ult down just to get other items. Heal up, and then we're good to go. You see how we didn't waste time on the encounter, and that's really important, how you loot more effectively, and you'll get better at it. And that's really the key. I'll grab these 2 items to top off. I'm going to finish off this round. And we'll get into the next concept. Or concept 2, utilizing your abilities. So obviously the biggest thing is that Apex is focused on the gunfight, right? And loot and everything. But there are abilities from Legends. So it's important that you go into the preview mode, or even just to practice the test range, to practice your grapple, your Wraith tactical ability, because this can all be monumental for you winning or losing a gunfight. You can do this by queuing in and practicing, but here's a really, really fantastic tip. I'm going to show it in real time, and just how you can really practice to get better, so when you're in the map and in the moment, you have it kind of built in and knowing what you need to do. We're going to discuss quickly Pathfinder's tactical ability and Loba's tactical ability. And then we'll discuss high level the next concept. But let's get into the game, and I will show you in the test range and how you can reset this. Because if you reset it, it'll help you practice it faster and faster. Just as an example, as we were just discussing, making sure that you practice your tactical ability. So I'm going to do Pathfinder's grapple. Let's just make sure we don't screw it up here. But obviously you press your Q, then you do a jump, and afterwards you bunny hop afterwards, right? So we'll break this down in a few concepts here. And keep in mind, you notice how the cooldown takes a long time. If you simply switch between Legends,
now for the right choice.
It's off a cooldown. Of course, if you screw it up like I did right there, see, you can just switch back.
Right choice.
And this is why we practice, right? You want to practice this. So let's break this down. And this is really how you want to practice, to making sure that you understand these concepts appropriately.
Now for the right choice.
You can do this in the Olympus mode, and you can practice this a lot more high level. But let me turn down this audio just in case it's a little too loud. Again, you want to hit your Q, and right when you hit your Q, you want to press jump. I actually bind mine to my scroll wheel, down. So I press my Q using scroll wheel. Then afterwards, I'm hitting crouch and my scroll wheel to bunny hop. And this keeps his movement high. Just as an example for Pathfinder, we can go more in depth on guides to really talk about this. But again, this is how you want to approach your practice.
This time will be
you can
different.
do the same thing for the Wraith Q. And this was not as good of a one, but nonetheless, you kind of get the concept of how you should practice. If you do this over and over and over again, and you keep switching between legends, boom, boom, it comes off cooldown. You can keep doing it over and over again. Most people don't really realize this, and it can be monumental to how you practice. You can apply the same concept to a Wraith Q. So I'm actually going to switch over to Loba and showcase what I've been practicing, because inputs and everything in timing is very much key to succeeding on Apex Legends. In the moment, you don't really think about this. So let's say I want to use her Q to get back up to kind of bait somebody. Well, boom, that's how you practice it. This is an example. Now, if you're too late on this and you wait too long to press her Q, then obviously you're going to struggle a bit more. Like if I wait too long, or if I hit something poorly. But timing on this can be pretty monumental, and I'm going to show you another way to practice this as well. And I can do this at a very high level into another guide, because sometimes you may throw it, and then you'll screw it up and you're already too gone, and then it comes down, and that's a problem, right? I've done this before with Loba. But even as you wall bounce, right? So you wall bounce, throw your Q for more momentum, and boom. There's quite a bit that you can practice here. You can even do it with the Wraith Q. As you get her Q, practice on your wall bounce and your movement as you're moving around. But this is pretty huge in how you practice. And practice being in her Q, what it looks like, right? So if I pop the Q, and I say, okay, let's wall bounce. Let's go this way. I see somebody's there. You now are more used to using her tactical abilities and succeeding. And all that's important. Especially as you use a lot of these legends. I am more than happy to do a guide on Watson to kind of talk about her fences. It's going to be the next video on how to properly fence. But that'll be the next video. Like even whenever using Loba's Q and you're bouncing around, you want to keep high mobility. So again, let's talk into the next topic. Alright, so concept 3. Rotations are where people fight. Mentally take note of where you see circles go and where players tend to fight. But the best thing to do when you do the preview mode, just even walk around. Figure out where there's choke points, where you have some way to get out, where there's some secret areas that you can kind of sneak into, because there's so much of that in the map. And it's important that you just take a moment just to explore, because exploring will at least tell you where you can hide, where you can rotate, where you can get behind cover to get that extra bat off over the map. And we'll discuss it there as well. So concept 4, practice your movement. One thing we talk about consistently is practicing your aim, but the biggest thing that you have to really utilize in Apex Legends is your movement. Now you can do this in the main game, Olympus preview mode, or even the test range, but spend time learning these concepts. I can definitely put a movement guide, but I feel there's just so many guides out there that have succeeded more in highlighting this concept. So I'm going to discuss one basic one, and we're going to talk about it kind of briefly in game. I'm going to highlight wall bouncing and chat about the inputs. So let's go into the test range real quick and we'll talk about that. Okay, and we're back. So let's discuss the next concept, which is really having high mobility. So obviously as you can see, me sliding down, you have a very high momentum and speed. So if you have a heavy gun or something along those lines, let's say you're just using a machine gun, you'll notice you run a little slower. You can still wall bounce, but you lose a bit of the momentum. If you have no weapon in your hand, obviously you can have them in your hand, but just don't equip them. You know, just pull out your hands so you can see just your fist. You'll notice you'll move a lot faster and you can wall bounce a lot more effectively. So let's break down the wall bounce, shall we? So obviously when you're running towards a wall, you want to just simply jumping towards it can be kind of effective, but you really want to slide jump into it. The reason why you want to slide jump into a wall, like so, that's not the best example, but you want to slide jump for the highest momentum. So if we're doing it like this, you'll just kind of stop. Now what we're missing in there is the jump. So obviously if you do it again, you just stop, which is fine, but you kept the highest momentum. What you want to do, and it's kind of hard to time, and you'll get better and better as you do this, as you slide, and then you jump and point in a different direction. So I have mine bound to my scroll wheel. So the minute I hit the wall, the input, I can kind of spam it with a scroll wheel and look a different direction. So again, if we do that again, jump, scroll wheel, and look a different direction. If you don't look a different direction, you'll kind of do a wall bounce off. So you can practice not looking a different direction, just practice on doing this, break it down slow. Over and over and over again. And this will get the effect of wall bouncing, because all you got to do is just move your mouse immediately to propel yourself to a different direction. Just note that not all wall surfaces are created equal. Some of them are a little harder. You want to keep, the best way to know that you're going to wall bounce successfully is a little dot in the center of your screen of what you're going to hit and look at is the wall bounce priority. Because if you don't hit it exactly, then wall bouncing is a lot more difficult to do. Now, this is something great to practice because it can really help you win in a gunfight. And of course, if you screw up a little bit or slow momentum, because keep in mind there are hills, there are things, knowing the map is going to be key. And you will mess up. You will make mistakes. Because like I hit that there, see, bounce over, wall bounce over. There's so many different things that you can get creative, which requires a much larger guide in its own. But I want to just introduce you guys to just simply running around and breaking this down to its most simple concept, which is just moving around the map and getting creative with it, right? Because you can really get creative, especially with like Lobos, Q, or anybody else, and then just high mobility and do a whole lot more with it. And that creativity is what's going to win you out in a gunfight. So let's kind of wrap up and let's talk about another concept. So real quick to recap, what we discussed today is getting loot quickly, understanding your abilities and how to practice them, positioning and rotation, and finally just practicing your movement. Remember that aim is important, but when it comes to improving on Apex Legends, you need to really knock out all of these to really improve. If you're missing any part of the puzzle, then you're going to struggle. Because Apex and many games, there are more game-specific mechanics that will help you succeed. I kept this very high level, but again, let me know if there any sort of concept you want me to deeper dive into, and I'll be more than happy to talk about it. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys next time.
They underestimated me. Reload. Biobots are shooting at me. Just us now. I looted our teammate's banner. Recharging my shields. Countdown. Just a tick. Jump right in position. Replicator incoming. Recharging shields. Reload. Being shot at. Hitting ring countdown. Pause. Enemy here. We're already inside the next ring. Recharging my shields.